How to improve communication in your marriage. Before we look at how, we need to realize a few things. And that is that no relationship can exist without communication. And that emotional intimacy is fostered by communication. So how do you do it? Number one, appreciate your spouse. When you have an attitude of gratitude, where you tell your spouse thank you, you notice your spouse, you appreciate your spouse, you celebrate your spouse's goodness and your spouse's effort in the relationship, your spouse will feel invited to be talking to you. Your spouse will enjoy coming to have conversations with you. Number two, make time. When you make time to quality bond with your partner, guess what? You two are going to have a very healthy communication life, because it's not just in being in the same space with your spouse. It is about being present. Quality time where you're not disrupted by your phone, disrupted by work, where you're not having any of these distractions. Even when you're far away from each other, you can be picking up your phone call, or perhaps you're meeting on video calls or meeting on other social media apps, as long as it is quality. Number three, apologize when you do hurt your spouse. Whenever you've hurt your spouse, please let your spouse know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for hurting you, because this softens your heart and it makes your spouse feel safe around you, because it is difficult to communicate with somebody who repeatedly hurts you. Number four, please avoid giving the impression that you're walking out of the relationship. Stop giving the impression that, oh, I'm done, I'm walking out and all these things, because it destabilizes your partner. It is easier to work on a relationship or a marriage when, you know what, we are locked in. We are 100% in it. We're having a difficult season. It is tough, but we are not going anywhere. We are in this. Number five, check your tone. It's not just in how you say things, but it's not just in saying things, but how you say them. So how are you going to talk to your spouse? Ask yourself, the same way I'm talking to my spouse, will I speak to another person like that? Will I speak to perhaps somebody that I'm ministering to? Will I speak to a friend like that? Because you'll realize that in many times we can easily become too familiar with our spouse and we speak to them anyhowly. And that's why our spouses start to wonder, why are you showing so much kindness to pastor, so much kindness to a friend, so much kindness to outsiders, so much kindness to people on social media than you show to me? So please check your tone. Number five, avoid coming to your spouse on attack mode. Whenever you are talking to your spouse, whenever you're coming to have a conversation with your spouse, check that you don't come on attack mode, that you don't appear as if you are coming to, to find fault in your spouse, or to attack your spouse, or to corner your spouse, or like, yes, I've got you now. Please watch that. Number six, ask questions, what we call open-ended questions, such as, how is your heart? How does this make you feel? What do you think about this? What's your opinion about this? I'd love to pick your mind about X, Y, Z. This makes your spouse feel like, hey, my opinion matters. Whatever it is that I'm thinking, it actually matters. Number seven, give and take. Don't just want your spouse to open up to you, you open up to your spouse. Reveal to your spouse things about you. Reveal to your spouse how you feel. Reveal to your spouse how your day has been, willingly, without even your spouse asking, because many times we want our spouse to open up to us, to be vulnerable to us, but are we vulnerable to our spouse? So also give. Don't just take. Don't just take information. Also give information. Give information. Number eight, you can get to be praying together. One of the things that will make you two bond even more is when you pray together. It's sweeter to pray with your spouse than to pray for your spouse. You could be praying for your spouse, but let me tell you this. The most effective way is when you pray with your spouse. When together you're like, hey, let's pray together. And even if your spouse is not a prayerful person, you just hold your spouse's hand, or even when you're in the same space as your spouse, or even when you give your spouse a phone call, and pray for him or her. Let him or her hear you pray for them. It's going to help you to bond even better. Number nine, find out your spouse's favorite topics. What does your spouse love to talk about? Is it business? Is it investments? Is it governance? Is it politics? Is it cars? Is it sports? Find that special topic that your spouse enjoys talking. And when you find it, you know what? Use it to be able to bond and connect. Find new things about your spouse. And then you bring that into the conversation. Number 10, and this is very, very, very important. Let your spouse know, thank you for creating time with me. Whenever your spouse gives that effort to bond with you, let your spouse know, hey, thank you for the call. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for the date. Thank you for the pillow talk. It shows your spouse that, hey, I see your effort and I would love you to do more of it. You're giving your spouse feedback that I'm actually enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. Number 11, physically touch. When you physically touch each other, when you just give a hug, when you just give a rub on the shoulder, a rub on the hand, it makes your spouse feel more comfortable to communicate. Imagine when you're having your pillow talks, and as you're having your pillow talks, you're playing around with your spouse's fingers, you're perhaps looking at your spouse's arm, and you're like, wow, and your spouse is opening up and talking, and you're like, hey, you're just bonding and connecting well together. You're bonding and connecting well together. Number 12, use humor. Please don't be this uptight, difficult person. Don't make marriage look like employment. Marriage is supposed to also be a safe space where you can be yourself, you can be funny, you can have a good laugh, you can make jokes. Don't laugh at each other, laugh with each other. Don't make jokes at your spouse, make jokes with your spouse so you can get to laugh and where your spouse can get to bond. So please make sure that you're not taking life too seriously. You don't want to be too uptight to the point that your spouse feels like he or she is walking on eggshells to come and talk to you. So embrace humor. Number 12, remember that some issues will not be resolved fully immediately. So be able to focus on the bigger picture. You know, if you hold on to issues today and then you're not going, you just holding on to them, it robs you of chances for you to communicate and to talk and to bond about other things. So if there's a pending issue and you feel like you two are talking about it, you're not ignoring it, you're talking about it, but you still haven't yet found a breakthrough. As you're working on that, please bond about other things, connect about other things. Don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. Don't tarnish and destroy the entire relationship just because there's an issue that is yet to be fully resolved. You guys are going to make it work. Eventually, you'll find a breakthrough, and you will realize that the more you talk about other things comfortably, in a manner that is easy, it makes it better to even talk about the difficult conversation. Number 13, actually, I think it's 13. Remember that it is not just about you. Don't just be wanting to do things that you like, or wanting to talk about things that you like, or wanting your needs to be met. Also meet the needs of your spouse. Also attend to the needs of your spouse. Look out for your spouse. And when your spouse perhaps says that, okay, I would like us to enjoy doing this, please be able to give in. Please be able to enjoy also in that. It's not just about you. It's not just about making you feel good, because in marriage, both of you have to also benefit from it. Number 14, do not invalidate your spouse's feelings. If your spouse perhaps says, okay, I feel hurt by this. When you did this, it offended me. I'm tired. I feel exhausted. I feel down, or I feel lost, or I feel broken. Do not tell your spouse, why are you feeling like that? What is wrong with you? You're so petty. You're so this. Why don't you be tough? Why don't you be hard? Why don't you be... No, please. When your spouse is communicating, this is how I'm feeling, your spouse is being vulnerable. Take that. Even if you have a differing point of view, take that and let your spouse know that with me, you can be telling me not just your good things, but also your bad things. Number 15, unlearn whatever it is that you picked from your past. Maybe you grew up in an environment whereby people are not saying, I love you. They were not complimenting. They were not validating each other. Maybe you grew up in a home whereby your parents never celebrated you. They never gave you time to your emotions. You grew up all alone and independent. And so you've become used to that. You don't even give compliments. You don't even give affectionate words. Unlearn that and get to learn, how can I be able to love my spouse, not just in actions, but also in words? How can I be able to demonstrate to my spouse that, hey, This is where I'm at. This is what I think about you. This is what I love about you. So unlearn whatever it is that you picked from your past and learn new things that you can be able to add into your marriage to make it sweeter, And then, number 15, don't try to force your spouse to be somebody that you want them to be. Walk with your spouse and celebrate your spouse to be the best version of themselves. Let your spouse know that I love you for you. I love you for you. You are amazing as you are, and I celebrate whatever growth that you want to become. I don't want you to be a copy of me or a copy of somebody else. I just want you to be the best version of you. Now, when you do this, your communication is actually going to become richer and better. But in case you're finding it difficult to even bond and connect, in case you're having a deadlock, then perhaps you can also try therapy. Go for counseling. As you go for counseling, hopefully it's a counselor who's going to hear both the perspective of the man and the perspective of the woman so that both of you can feel heard. And maybe then you two might be able to find that breakthrough that you have been searching for. I wish you nothing but the best in your love life. All the best.
This is Grown TV.